Hello, my friends. I haven't talked for a while, sorry. Welcome to Bible and Revelations. I'm Sal Lopez. This is episode 59C of Daniel 5. For some reason, it's taken me a long time to read this book. So we'll jump right into it. I respect your time. I don't want to waste your time. So here we go. And I only have 10 minutes before this camera shuts off. At that time, all the wise men of the king were coming in, but they were not competent enough to read the handwriting on the wall that appeared when they were desecrating the Jewish gold and silver goblets that were they stole from the temple in Jerusalem like some 60, 70 years prior. So at that time, the wise men of the king were coming in, but they were not competent enough to read the writing itself or to make known to the king the interpretation. Consequently, King Belshazzar was very much frightened, and his complexion was changing within him, and his grandees were perplexed. As regards the queen, because of the words of the king and his grandees, she entered right into the banquet hall. The queen answered and said, "O king, keep living even to times indefinite. Do not let your thoughts frighten you, nor let your complexion be changed. There exists a capable man in your kingdom in whom there is the spirit of holy gods. And in the days of your father, illumination and insight and wisdom, like the wisdom of gods, were found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father himself, set him up as chief of the magic practicing priest, the conjurers, the Chaldeans, and the astrologers. Even your father, O king, did this. For as much as an extraordinary spirit and knowledge and insight to interpret dreams and the explanation of riddles and the untying of knots had been found in him, in Daniel, whom the king himself named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel himself be called that he may show the very interpretation. Oh, she goes, now let Daniel himself be called, that he may show the very interpretation. According to Daniel himself, Accordingly, Daniel himself was brought in before the king. The king was speaking up and saying to Daniel, "Are you the Daniel that is of the exiles of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Judah? I have also heard concerning you that the spirit of gods is in you, and illumination and insight and wisdom extraordinary have been found in you. And now there have been brought in before me the wise men and the conjurers that may read this very writing, even to make known to me its interpretation. But they are not competent enough to show me the very interpretation of the word. And I myself have heard concerning you that you are able to furnish interpretations and to untie knots themselves. Now, if you are able to read the writing and to make known to me its very interpretation, with purple you will be clothed, with a necklace of gold around your neck, and the third of the kingdom you will rule." He's offering him great wealth and a third of the kingdom in order to translate what he sees on the wall. At that time, Daniel was answering and saying before the king, "Let your gifts prove to be to you yourself, and your presents do you give to others." He didn't want any reward for what he was about to do. However, I shall read the writing itself to the king, and the interpretation I shall make known to you. As for you, O king, the Most High God himself gave to Nebuchadnezzar, your father, the kingdom, and the greatness, and the dignity, and the majesty. And because of the greatness that he gave him, all peoples, national groups, and languages proved to be quaking and showing fear before him. Whom he happened to want to, he was killing. Whom he happened to want to, he was striking. Whom he happened to want to, he was exalting. And whom he happened to want to, he was humiliating. So he had power over almost every human on earth. But when his heart became haughty, and his own spirit became hard, so as to act presumptuously, he was brought down from the throne of his king, and his own dignity was taken away from him, and from the sons of mankind he was driven away. And his very heart was made like that of a beast, and with the wild asses his dwelling was. Vegetation they would give him to eat, just like bulls, and with the dew of the heavens his own body got to be wet, until he knew that the Most High God is ruler in the kingdom of mankind, and that the one whom he wants to, he sets up over it. So God already proved a point to Belshazzar's father by making him like a horse, wandering around eating grass and sleeping out in the grass, until he realized he had been too proud and started giving glory to God instead of glorifying himself. Then he woke up. And as for you, his son Belshazzar, you have not humbled your heart, although you knew all this. But against the Lord of the heavens you exalted yourself, and they brought before you even the vessels of his house. And you yourself and your grandees, your concubines, and your secondary wives have been drinking wine from them. And you have raised mere gods of silver and of gold, of copper, iron, wood, and stone, that are beholding nothing, or hearing nothing, or knowing nothing. But the God in whose hand your breath is, and to whom all ways belong, you have not glorified. Consequently, from before him there was being sent the back of a hand, and this very writing was inscribed, and this is the writing that was inscribed: Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. This is the interpretation of the word Mene. God has numbered the days of your kingdom and has finished it. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and have been found deficient. Pedis, your kingdom has been divided, given to the Medes and the Persians. All that time Belshazzar commanded, and they clothed Daniel with purple, and with a necklace of gold about his neck, and they heralded concerning him that he was to become the third ruler of the kingdom. And that very night Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was killed, and Darius the Mede himself received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Okay, folks, that's the end. I finally finished Daniel 5. Next week I'll get into the concordance notes for Daniel 5 and try to explain what happened here more thoroughly. Daniel is going to be a very intense book. This first 6 books are biographical. The next ones from chapter 7 forward will be prophetical, matching up with Revelations. Okay, God bless you. Remember to say the Lord's Prayer and be an organ donor. Give your heart to Jesus. I'll talk to you next week.